not against chanting. They have to chant. But write the shloka in front gives you the meaning also. That means you are getting double benefit. That's what I meant. I mean, chanting is very beautiful. There's no doubt. So don't get me wrong.
Dr. Renu, the PDFs were given, right? So you can actually keep the PDF when the chanting is being done. And if you really want to look at the meanings, you can then look at the meanings.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
No, 1 minute. Yeah, so that's fine. So you're getting the benefit, no? So the reason why the PDF with meaning is not being projected for the share screen for the when chanting is happening is because it is time consuming, because it will take a long time for us to keep moving the screen up.
Okay.
Okay. So for the time being, this is what all those who do not follow Sanskrit directly, you can listen to the chant and look at the meaning.
I do that, Dr. Ganga, but you know, it goes very, very fast. It's very, I am doing that only. On one phone, I put the PDF with meaning. On the other, I am listening to the sound. You know, that there's a mismatch.
It's okay. See, I know you're keen on getting the meaning, but don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll get the meaning in due course. You just
Okay,
listen to the
fine.
chant. For the time should be good.
Okay.
We should go with that Shraddha. That Shraddha is required, yeah? Because
okay, thank you. I took too much time, so I understood. Thank you.
no problem. Thank you. Jai Gurudev. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. Sumaji, I can share screen from now. I will.
Sorry to interrupt, Madhuri.
Yeah.
Tomorrow onwards, I won't be there.
Your voice is not clear, Madhuri ji.
Yeah, I am traveling to Bangalore Ashram tomorrow.
Okay.
So I won't be there for 15th chapter.
So
I thought it is today.
To chant 15, no?
Yeah.
No problem. We'll
So I will be resuming from next Monday only.
Okay. No problem. We did this shloka 63 yesterday, isn't it? We'll go to 64. Anyone wants to chant? Yeah, go ahead.
But there will be a lot of noise. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay. As long as we can hear you, that should be fine.
Yes. Drishyate shruyate yadyat brahmanonyanna tadbhavet tattvajnanach tadbrahma satchidanandamadvayam. Drishyate, which is perceived, shruyate, which is heard, yadyat, all that, brahmanonyat, apart from Brahman, no, tat, no, not, tat, that, bhavet, can be, tattvajnanat, from the knowledge of the reality, Cha, and Tad Brahma, that Brahman, Satchidananda, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, Advayam, non-dual. Somebody can read the English, no? Or I should read? Anyone else wants to read?
I will read this. All that is perceived or heard is Brahman and nothing else. Attaining the knowledge of the reality, one sees the universe as the non-dual Brahman. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Whatever you hear or see, are you all able to hear me? Because yesterday there were some who were not able to hear.
Yes, they can hear you very well.
Okay, good. Whatever you hear or see or perceive through the sense organs cannot be anything other than the Brahman. Just as whatever one sees in one's dream state cannot be anything other than one's own waking state mind. The consciousness is that which presides over and lends its potentiality in all our activities of perception, feeling, and thinking. It is the awareness in us that illumines the knowledge, ignorance, anger, love, and such other hosts of feelings and emotions in us. If consciousness does not give life to the prana in us, where is the existence in us? Realize, therefore, that whatever exists Realize, therefore, that whatever exists either in this limited body, mind, and intellect, microcosm, or in the outer created world, macrocosm, they are all its own manifestation and nothing else. When this truth is completely realized and experienced, one cannot but see the entire universe as a huge play field in which the Paramatman alone revels as Satchit Ananda Absolute, for it is one and one only. Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. I think maybe others better not to share, huh? Because causing all these lines over there. So if any of you is using your screen share, I would suggest you not. Thank you. So whatever is heard and perceived is nothing but Brahma. Just like as whatever one sees in one's dream state cannot be anything other than one's own waking state mind. And it is the awareness in us that illumines the knowledge, ignorance, anger, love. See, even ignorance, it is what? That you do not know is also because of this illumination of the Brahman, that you know that you do not know. Isn't it? That we are ignorant is also because of this awareness. So knowledge, ignorance, anger, love, all the pairs of opposites, whatever we perceive, whatever we experience is nothing. It is all dependent upon this one consciousness, this pure awareness. For it is one and only one. Ekam eva advitiyam Brahma. I don't know how to remove these lines, but it doesn't matter. Bela, you want to chant? I think Simi, I guess it is coming from you. If you can maybe not move your cursor, these lines will not happen, I guess. I'm not sure.
No, it's not from my side.
Not from your side, because I can see your name showing up here. That's why I thought from.
Okay, okay.
Not sure from where it's coming, because I'm also not very technically. I don't.
Yeah, may I chant?
Yeah, go ahead, Vela. Chant.
Sarvagam Satchidanat Sarvagam Satchidatmanam Jnanachakshurnirikshate Ajnanachakshunirksheta Ajnanachakshurnekshet Bhasvat Bhasvatam Bhanumandavat Bhasvantam Bhanu Mandhavat
Bhanum Andavat.
Bhanu
Bhanum is the sun. Bhanum
Surya. Yeah.
Andavat. Yeah,
The pronunciation is Bhanu Mandhavata only, no?
correct. Bhanum Andavat. After ma, you say Bhanum and then Andavat.
Andhavata, huh? Bhanum Andhavata.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarvaga, which is present everywhere. Satchidatmanam, Atman, which is pure consciousness. Jnana Chakshuhu, eyes of wisdom. Nirikshate, perceives. Ajnana Chakshuhu, one whose vision is obscured by ignorance. No, not. Iksheta, sees. Bhasvantam, Bhasvantam, which is shining. Bhanum, the sun. Andavata, like a blind man. Though Atman is pure consciousness and ever present everywhere, yet it is perceived by the eye of wisdom alone. But one whose vision is obscured by ignorance, he does not see it, as the blind do not see the resplendent sun.
Just as a blind man cannot see the sun, so also the person whose faculty of perception is not prepared to be sharp enough to grasp the truth, and therefore he who has not developed in himself the eye of wisdom, who is not discriminative enough to reject the unreal from the real, whose mind is not pure, who has not the serene light of knowledge within him to illumine his right judgment of things, who has not done sufficient penance to acquire single-pointed devotion, who still superimposes the finite qualities of the outer world of objects on the infinite self. Such an unprepared mind cannot readily experience the presence of the eternal self as his own true nature. It is not that the Atman is not supreme, but it is the limiting factors in the seeker after truth that veils and distorts the beauty of the absolute reality. It is the blindness of the person that makes the sun dark to him, even though the sun shines ever bright and brilliant. All great philosophers had to, in the last analysis, take recourse to an imaginary power in the human intellect, and with the help of that faculty, they explain to the intellectual students how seekers gain the perception of the reality. Theoretically, the Vedantic teachers boldly propound that on transcending all the equipments, all seekers will realize the self, the truth. The students in the beginning try to follow the teacher only with their intellect. Perception or apprehension as understood by the intellect cannot take place without some instrument of knowing other than the object of knowledge. Carrying this impression, the student asks as to how one can experience the truth when once the body, mind, intellect equipment is transcended. The rishis import here the idea of the faculty of intuition, jnana chakshu, for the benefit of such students. contemplative power alone can apprehend the reality. This apprehension is not an objective experience. It is an uncompromising and total becoming. I'll read this once again. Contemplative power alone can apprehend the reality. This apprehension is not an objective experience. It is an uncompromising and total becoming. An ordinary mind turned outward in perceiving, feeling, and thinking of the objects of the world gets so agitated that in that restless bosom, the supreme cannot be captured in experience. The mind that is slowly and intelligently withdrawn from its extrovert fascinations and trained to turn inward develops in itself the power to apprehend the reality. Therefore, the intuitive power, jnana chakshu, is nothing other than a mind turned inward and held in attention. In Gita, a mind so prepared as a true vehicle to reach knowledge itself is called jnanam. In this context, the 20 values of life mentioned in the Gita in preparing this jnanam are worthy of our attention. I think Dr. Mara had this doubt, what is this jnana? Sometime back. I'm not sure whether she's there in the meeting today. She's not there. She was wondering, when we keep talking of jnana tevatu kaivalyam, with only jnana that you attain liberation, what is this jnana? What is meant by this jnana? I think there's a little peep into what this jnana is here. So it is the mind so prepared as a true vehicle to reach knowledge itself is called jnanam. So although it is required for us to transcend the body, mind, intellect, it is with this contemplative mind or the intuitive mind, it's called the jnana chakshu. It is through that you actually experience, and it is actually an uncompromising total becoming. It is not so much an objective experience. I will just read the you know what, I will just stop the share. Maybe these lines will go.
Do we have that 20 value of life mentioned
Yeah,
in
it is
Gita?
here. It is here. No, it's there in the footnote. I will read it. Just give me a second.
Okay.
I will just reshare this thing because those lines are kind of, I think now it's fine. So this 20 values of life mentioned in the Gita, they help in preparing this jnanam. So what are these 20 values? Refer Swamiji's commentary on Gita chapter 13, stanzas 7 to 11. I think this is what I had prepared as a written note, but I will read this now. Humility, unpretentiousness, non-injury, forbearance, uprightness, following the teacher, purity, steadiness, self-control, detachment from sense objects, absence of egoism, constant reflection upon life's imperfections, non-attachment, non-identification with son, wife, home, and the rest, constant equanimity, both in conducive and non-conducive circumstances, unswerving devotion to the Lord, solitude, distaste for blabbering crowds, constant study of scriptures, and diligent attempt to understand the deeper meaning of the reality as indicated in the scriptures. These constitute the 20 values of life. It is nice to actually
revisit. Revisit.
No, I want to chant these 7 to 11 shlokas. I think we did this once, we're doing it again, but we'll have to keep doing it till it becomes our part of our nature. So the chapter 13, I'm not able to share screen. I'm just reading from the book. Amanitvamadambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham स्थैर्यमात्म विनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधिः दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चान्यन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जन संसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यततोऽन्यथा. So I think these verses are worth memorizing so that we get all these 20 values ingrained. First of all, they should be there in our awareness, so for us to practice, and then with constant practice, constant remembrance of these values and putting it into practice, I think we would then be eligible for that jnana. Then we would have got that purity of our antakarana. That itself, this mind thus prepared is called jnanam. And then with that developed jnana chakshu, you'll be able to perceive or experience the truth.
Thank you.
Huh?
I said
Yeah.
thank you. So nice to repeat that 7 to 11.
Right. So beautiful. Yeah. Anyone wants to share anything before we go to the next verse? Yes.
We shared, no, everything is Brahman. So previously when we used to read Gita in other group, we used to understand that. And we said how ignorant we were. So our teacher that time used to say, no, don't say ignorance. It is, everything is comprised of Brahma only. So today when you told, no, कि ब्रह्मा सब में सब कुछ है, सब में ब्रह्मा है, तो ignorance is also in that, also there it is. Only the well is removed, you are that.
Yeah. And that is why the example of the blind person is given here, no? As long as it is not that the Brahman is not supreme, the Brahman is there. The sun is shining. It's just that the cloud is covering the sun.
Yeah.
And that is what we have to dispel. Bela, are you able to chant?
Yes, Brahmaraji. But Sanskrit.
Okay, sir. Sanskrit, yeah. Yes.
श्रवणादिभिरुदीप्त ज्ञानाग्निपरितापितः जीव सर्वमलान्मुक्तः स्वर्णवदध्योतते स्वयं जीव सर्व अमलान्मुक्तः स्वर्णवद् द्योतते स्वयं.
Correct.
Shravanadibihi, by hearing and so on. Udiptaha, kindled. Jnanagni, paritapitaha, heated in the fire of knowledge. Jivaha, the jiva, individuality. Sarva amalan, from all impurities. Muktaha, freed. Swarnavat, like gold. Dhyotate, shines. Swayam, of itself. The jiva, free from impurities, being heated in the fire of knowledge, kindled by heating and so on, shines of itself like gold.
Yeah. It is Sarva Malan. It is not Sarva Amalan. Amala is pure. Sarva Malan, that is from all impurities.
Okay, dhanyavad. Yeah. Sarva malan. Okay. Sarva malan mukta. Jiva sarva malan mukta.
Sanskrit is such an exact language. One little, akshara here and there, the meaning completely changes.
Yes, even in Jnana, Jnana also, it is so
Yeah.
much
Correct.
Satya.
Avidya. So it is that just that little care there over there. In obtaining knowledge on Vedanta, the 3 courses recommended are: number 1, listening to the truth from the scriptures as explained by the teacher, that is Shravana. B, reasoning of the truths heard, Manana. And 2, deep contemplation on what has been and reasoned, what has been heard and reasoned out, Nididhyasana. I don't know why the numbering is only 1, B, and 2. It should have been 1, 2, and 3. I think maybe a typo there. Spiritual discipline is intended to clean the mind of its impurities. As such, removal of the ignorance, avidya, alone enables the revelation of the absolute truth. It is a spontaneous experience of one's own self, and an earnest seeker after truth who is able to kindle the fire of knowledge in his pure bosom and who is free from doubts and fears realizes the self in him. So, the egocentric personality, Jivatman, has to rid itself of its own limitations when it rediscovers its real nature as the eternal self. The ore, as it comes up from the gold mines, is mixed up with a lot of impurities. And when the washed off gold is heated and poured in, its molten brilliance acquires to itself its real glory and beauty. So too, the individuality, when heated in meditation and the molten self is poured out, it comes to shine in its essential immortal contents. For more elaborate discussion on these points, those points, that is Nididhyasana and thing, read the chapter Fall and Rise of Man in the introduction to Swamiji's discourses on Kenopanishad. Yeah, I'm actually keen to know what exactly is Nididhyasana. I understood Shravana and Manana, yes, but Nididhyasana is...
Brahmaraji, I'm not able to hear you. I'm sorry. Am I the only one?
Is it? You're
It's
not...
very
We can
clear.
hear. Yeah,
We
it's
can hear.
clear.
I think maybe Bella, you may want to log out and log in. Maybe that might help. Let me...
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, let
I
me
logged out
write to
and
her. She will not be able to hear also what I say. So I just typed it for her there. So I just would, my understanding of Nididhyasana is not very clear, I should say. Can anyone throw some light on that?
My understanding is constantly dwelling in the
Mm,
whatever the qualities.
mm.
Becoming a part of you, like when you start applying, then it comes automatically after some time. So becoming part of you.
Yeah. Is
It
it
could
just
also, could deep contemplation on that, right? It's a form of meditation only. Look, when we do Shravana, we listen, right? At that time, we are not uh, going deep into analyzing it or seeing if you have any doubts. So all those clearing of all your doubts or making it very clear is where Manana comes, right? You will go read it again, make sure that you are getting it right. This is how I understand. I don't know whether right or wrong. So that is Manana. Contemplation and going deep into it is what happens in Nididhyasa. So when you're meditating, if you have taken one shloka and you're meditating on that shloka, you could call that as Nididhyasanam, right? Where all
What I
doubts are cleared now. There are no more, what you call in Sanskrit, no vikalpa or no doubts on that. It's very clear, crystal clear. Now you contemplate on it. You make that as your um, uh, point for meditation.
what I have heard somewhere, whatever the five Mahavakyas are there, so we contemplate on that. That is Nididhyasana. I have heard, but I am not sure.
Can be on, yeah, anything. Mahavakyas, obviously, but even a particular shloka, if you want to really go deep into it, you will contemplate on it. You have made sure everything is clear now. There are no doubts, no vikalpa, nothing in your mind. Then you take that thought and go deep into meditating on it. Then
Like
obviously,
these
as someone said, sorry, then as someone said, then probably automatically, slowly it comes into your, it's like implementing it in your life. Like those points, those shlokas with Brahmaraji read 7 to 11 or whatever. Now, if you start contemplating on it, slowly, those virtues, those qualities, you start imbibing, right? It starts coming into you.
Yeah.
This is what I understood. I don't know whether right or wrong.
I think it is like, if you look at it scientifically, it is like you are um, recreating those nerve connections, or that thinking process within you. The concepts that you had earlier, you are kind of dispelling those, and you're reintroducing these Vedantic concepts, wherein you are you're reframing your mental structure inside. You're constantly getting, you're doing that punah, it's coming into your awareness. So Nididhyasana, do you do it throughout the day, or is it done at a particular time, like how we do a Sahaj meditation? Do we do it at a particular time, or does Nididhyasana happen throughout the day?
I've heard it as a form of meditation.
Meditation,
So
yeah.
that's how I heard it. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, eventually then once you start contemplating on it over a period of time, that's happening through you all during the day also, probably, maybe.
Right. Maybe what we can do, because this is there is an indication here for a more elaborate discussion on these points, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, we'll see whether we can lay our hands on this Swamiji's discourse on Kenopanishad.
Maybe even Nanaji can tell us exactly.
Nanaji can, yeah, we'll talk to Nana tomorrow and get some clarity on that. Bela, are you back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
हृदाकाशोदितो ह्यात्मा बोधभानुस्तमोपहृत बोधभानुस्तमोपह
That single, that S is, so you have to drag it a little.
बोधभानुस्तमोपहृत सर्वव्यापी सर्वधारी भाति भासयतेऽखिलम्. Akashoditah, which rises in the sky of the heart, he, verily, Atma, the Atman, Bodha Bhanuhu, the son of knowledge, Tamaha, darkness, Apahrita, destroys, Sarvavyapi, which is pervading everything, Sarvadhari, sustains all, Bhati, shines, Bhasayate, makes to shine, Akhilam, everything. The Atman, the sun of knowledge that rises in the sky of the heart, destroys the darkness of the ignorance, destroys the darkness of the ignorance, pervades and sustains all, and shines and makes everything to shine.
Hridaya is generally translated as the heart. Here the term is not to mean the biological organ that pumps the blood, but here it means that arena in the mental field from where the noble and the humane thoughts gurgle up and flow. The term heart here is used in the same sense in which we call a man of love and goodness as a man of heart. When there is ethical purity and moral goodness, then alone in that bosom can spiritual unfoldment and the consequent divine experiences come. As at the approach of dawn, the darkness rolls off and the light of its own glory brings everything clearly to our cognition, so too, at the dawn of wisdom, all knowledge bursts up to our awareness. So unless we are dharmic, number one requirement is that we should follow dharma. When there is ethical purity and moral goodness, then alone in that bosom can spiritual unfoldment and consequent divine experiences come. Yeah. Should we continue? Anyone wants to share anything with respect to the previous words? Yeah, Bela, you can chant.
दिग्देशकालाध्यनपेक्ष सर्वगम शीतादीरिन् नित्यसुखं निरञ्जनम्. I think there is a different tone.
I think there's a different tune, yeah.
Yeah, Krishna.
Digdeshakaladhyanapeksha sarvagam shitadihrin nityasukham niranjanam yat swatmatirtham bhajate nishkriyaha sa sarvavid sarvagato mrito bhavet. Maybe this is the tune. I don't know. You can chant, Bela.
Yeah, okay. Digdeshakaladhyanapeksha sarvagam शीतादिर्नित्यसुखं निरञ्जनं यत् 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 स स्वात्मतीर्थं भजते विनिष्क्रियः स सर्ववित् सर्वगतो मृतो भवेत्. Digdesha Kaladi, direction, space and time, Anapekshya, not depending upon, Sarvagam, which is present everywhere, Shitadirit, which destroys cold, Nitya Sukham, which is bliss eternal, Niranjanam, which is stainless, Yaha, who, Svatma Tirtham, the holy place of his own Atman, bhajate, worships, vinishkriyah, renouncing all activities, saha, he, sarvavit, all knowing, sarvagatah, all pervading, amritah, immortal, bhavet, becomes. He who renouncing all activities, who is free of all the limitations of time, space, and direction, worships his own Atman, which is present everywhere, which is the destroyer of heat and cold, which is bliss, eternal and stainless, becomes all knowing and all pervading, and attains thereafter immortality. So beautiful.
This is the guarantee the Shastra is giving us. Whether the sea is stormy or calm, the sun always shines on it. Similarly, the pure Atman, the truth which is behind time, space, and causality, which is all pervading, which has no duality, which is the pure consciousness in all awareness, which is the substratum on which all these pluralistic things play about. That is the one consciousness which illumines the entire creation. Without it, nothing will exist anywhere. Know that to be your own self. He who renounces all his desires and activities, his attachments, likes and dislikes, and his very contact with the life of this ephemeral world of objects, and he who is ever at the shrine of the Atman, striving with determination to enjoy the bliss of his own self, that Mahatman becomes all-knowing, all-pervasive Brahman itself. There is immortality for him. For having reached that and having begun to experience that which has no beginning and end, he too becomes immortal. The dreamer, when he ends his dreams and wakes up, becomes himself the waker. The limited ego, on transcending the mind-intellect equipment, becomes itself the immortal Brahman. Om Tat Sat. This is such a beautiful, complete text. So what is needed for us to do is to purify ourselves, purify the antakarna, purify so that the jnana chakshu comes up, following all those 20 values of life, living a dharmic life and living, practicing karma yoga and keeping this mumukshutvam fire ever, ever lit, and living a life of awareness with all of this and this constant churning, this jnana madhane, that arana the churning of knowledge has to happen day in and day out constantly. Then we will get to this last verse where we will become immortal. We'll then begin to experience that which is no beginning and end. It's just like how the dreamer, when he ends the dream, becomes the waker. Similarly, when we wake up from this dream of the Jagat, then we become the waker, which is nothing but the Brahman, absolute. It is like Brahma is having a huge dream. Brahma, that is us, is having a huge dream, and we are in that dream world right now. So we have to awaken ourselves to realize who the Brahma, who we truly are.
Dee, I like this example, like when the sea is stormy or calm, the sun always shines on it.
Correct.
And similarly, the pure Atman illumines the entire creation.
Correct.
This is so beautiful.
Yeah. That is why in the previous one or two shlokas previous, it was mentioned, it is the one thing that illumines everything, all your, whatever you hear, whatever you perceive, all that is because of Atman, because of him alone. If you're getting angry, if you're getting negative emotions, or you have the feeling of love, care, compassion, all of that is illumined by him. It manifests because of this power. That is why all these negative tendencies are called distortions of love. When they're expressed purely, uh, all the human values are expressed in their positive attributes. Whereas when the love gets distorted, when this force gets distorted, then it shows up as all the negative tendencies. But they are one and the same energy, which is what we learn in our advanced course, no? All those 7 chakras, and how there is positive and negative, and how just by attention to that you can transform the positive to the negative to the positive. So they're just one thing. So that is why we don't need to be too judgmental, too critical of ourselves. Just a little bit of awareness, it should be enough. Not just of ourselves, even of others. There's someone negative out there. Rather than, spew hatred and all that, you just have to have compassion for them. So it will also help us be gentle on ourselves rather than be, get into the guilt chair when in case you're overcome by some negativity. uh, I, I think this awareness will help us move out of that guilt. Rather, you just become aware of it and then you'll be free of it.
Hariom, it actually comes when you are amongst the people, when you are all alone by yourself. I mean, the knowledge is so easily digestible. But when you are with the feel, I mean, real Kurukshetra is when you are among the people with all types of people, and they are your own people. And the real testing ground it is. It is real challenge, I tell you. I think there the pure antakaran and there it is understood what is real pure antakaran, that you accept every situation, every negativity as something which is equal to you. as positive. In both the situation, you are able to remain the same calm.
Totally agree with your observation, Belaji, that challenges with that is very close to you is what is most challenging for applying this knowledge. And I also noticed that if you have the innate skill, it is probably much easier. But if you have to acquire the skill, then a lot of practice is required. That's my observation.
Yeah, true. Earlier, I was thinking that I need to change that person, but now I realize that it is just I need to change my perspective. I mean, I don't need to paint others' wall. I need to paint my own wall, which is calm and clear.
Very, very beautiful.
Yeah. And even that is a big challenge.
Yes, I
whole,
agree.
Whole
Sumaji.
sadhana is that, no? See, what we listen here, we are all thankful that we're all grihastas. The practicals this is all the theory we are learning, but actual practicals is out there in our day-to-day life, in our the way we the different situations we go through, dealing with people. So practical application of whatever we are listening to here has to be done there, and we are given so many opportunities.
Actually, Brahmaraji, that is also tapas, and this is also tapas. So we have both. We are only cooking up in this tapas. Like Nanaji today said, no, you are cooked. The way the glitter comes in the gold after only heating up, and how the impurities go. So every situation in a practical life makes us realize the impurities in us, and with the help of knowledge we come over it.
Yeah.
This knowledge becomes such a part of you. It's dawns exactly, means the moment we, जैसे आपने कहा कि pure ghee, or you wanted to lead the lamp with other ghee, so the knowledge dawn.
Yeah.
Like no, that every situation in the home happens like this,
Correct. Then I was thinking, this I'm offering to I mean, Agnihotra is like you're doing ahuti, right? So I said,
yeah.
I'm offering it to them. Why should I not give them pure stuff? I mean, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Thing.
And ultimately it was going to help in your home only, whatever the chemicals, enzymes used to means was about to release from that good quality and quantity of ghee.
Yeah.
So we are the beneficiary only in any situation. But this what Sangati Gurudev says, no, satsang is very required. So when we are together, we are getting all this blooming in us. Otherwise, even if we are alone and reading and studying, it will not help. So being a student all the time, I feel but today I have a question, Brahmaraji. Somewhere we read today, till the time we need a teacher.
Yeah.
In one sloka, then you follow the teacher. I missed that I will go through this.
Atma Bodha.
Yeah, in Atma Bodha.
I'll just go back 1 second. Just get that. He says, no, you have to follow the teacher. Follow the
teacher.
Jai Gurudev. In the meantime, I share something.
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, please.
Ji, you can share anytime. You don't need to wait. You can unmute and speak.
No, you see, the first thing comes is acceptance. When you accept person, sthiti, paristiti, environment, or whatever you call it. And second thing, Guruji has chosen us. Why not the other person to be in this path? So he knew this person can do the changes, but it will come slowly, not as a miracle. That's it. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was over here that Sheila ji, completely agree with you. So that is why we should feel blessed, number one, that we're at least thinking about this. But then having been on this path and being on this path, it is not again to, to compare ourselves with others. That is not what we are here for, number one. And two is to let them be. I think in one of the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, I don't remember which chapter, it says, you continue to do what you are doing, but do not put down others just because they're not following what you are doing, or they're not on this path. So
Yeah, I think
inspire them as a role model. You be a role model for them. You continue to do your sadhana. You don't get, you don't get swerved by people around you. The same time, like that is why I can't remember the shloka, but this is the import of the
third or fourth chapter. Yeah.
Third or fourth chapter, no?
Yeah. But looking at you, I mean, observing you, I mean, who is doing the sadhana and all, they change. They change.
There will be a change. Of course, there will be a change.
It will not be as you have changed yourself, but the change is for definite, 100% the change. That's right. But as it is, we have to accept them first.
Yeah.
First thing is. But of course, then it will, then that story, the two people were meditating and God came in front of them, and both of them asked, when I'll be enlightened. One says, you will take 4 birds, and for other thing, the leaves on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that example I remember. I mean, just correlating.
Correct.
So we don't know the other person, what their karma is. We don't know our karma ourselves. So what prarabdha we have come with, what baggage we have come with.
Same slide down.
Yeah, it is 65 verse, Sarlaji. You're right, Sheila ji. But see, Sangha is important, like what Sarlaji was mentioning. Satsanga is important. Sangha, and therefore the Manana is important. The 1/4 of the knowledge that we gain is from Sahabrahmacharibhyo. Sabrahmacharibhyo. That is, when we share, when each of us shares, only then will it also help in bringing in that clarity in our mind, in our thinking process. Otherwise, it is what you understand. Sometimes what you understand might not be the right perspective. No? So when you listen to 2-3 others, then that perspective gets clearer and clearer. So that polishing happens better. So this one you were asking, Sarlaji, Sarvagam Sachidatmanam Jnana Chakshu
Yes.
Ajnana Chakshur Nirksheta Bhasvantam Bhanu Mandavat. So in this, in the thing, all great philosophers had to, I think this is the one, no? An ordinary mind turned outward. Is this the one? I don't know whether we should be.
Previous slide. Yeah. All philosophers. You can read this.
Yeah, all great philosophers had to, in the last analysis, take recourse to an imaginary power in the human intellect. And with the help of that faculty, they explain to the intellectual students how seekers gain the perception of reality. Theoretically, the Vedantic teachers boldly propound that on transcending all the equipments, all seekers will realize the self, the truth. The students in the beginning try to follow the teacher only with their intellect. Perception or apprehension as understood by the intellect cannot take place without some instrument of knowing other than the object of knowledge. Carrying this impression, the student asks as to how one can experience the truth when once the body, mind, intellect equipment is transcended. The rishis import here the idea of the faculty of intuition, jnana chakshu, for the benefit of such students. So, I don't know what the clarification you wanted. You said following the teacher, no? What was that?
Yeah. Actually means till the body, mind, intellect we have, we are in that. Unless that is transcended and our pursue, what we pursue through the Gyan Chakshu, only then we will reach the goal. I wanted to say like this. The body, mind, intellect complex, we should come out of it. Otherwise, everything we will pursue through the intellect of our or teachers, what he is teaching. But that is also necessary. Otherwise, we will not move in that direction.
Yeah.
What you're saying is like a pole vault, right?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Like a pole vault, they say, no? If you want to jump that stick, you have to some extent, you have to.
Yeah.
Cross.
Correct.
See, all this, the ultimate truth is beyond logic, and the intellect stops short at logic. It cannot understand anything beyond logic. Therefore, for that to go beyond the intellect, you require the power of intuition, which is jnana chakshu. And that is what is developed with meditation. When you keep meditating, you can't explain intuition. No, when someone is outside the door, someone rings the bell, you intuitively know who is there at the door. Most of us must have had this experience. When the telephone rings, you intuitively know who is called. And more often than not, the person that you think must have called would have been the one who called. So that you cannot explain. How will you explain? How did that person come to your mind? How did the person standing behind the door, how did you know that is the person? You cannot explain, analyze logically. It just happens.
And Gurudev says, no, in Sadguru, how the knowledge flourishes. When Sadguru is in your life, how it comes automatically. Even for that Trotakacharya, how it happened.
Yeah. So that intuition again is, of course, it comes with practice of meditation. And I think ultimately it is the grace. You might have a well-developed intuition, but for that truth to dawn, I think the grace of the divine is important there. So yesterday, I thought we should just revisit the actual meaning of Shraddha before we close chapter 17. So this might take maybe 5-10 minutes. So in response to Arjuna's question was, what if, O Krishna, those who perform a ritual, let me just read the Arjuna watch, Eshastra vidhi mutsrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtatu ka Krishna satvamaho rajastamaha. which is, O Krishna, those who perform a ritual, giving up what is stipulated by the Shastra, but endowed with Shraddha, what is their basis? Is it Sattva or Rajas or Tamas? So, in response to that, Bhagavan says, Trividha bhavati Shraddha Dehinam sa svabhavaja Satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. Sri Bhagavan said, the Shraddha of the embodied beings is born of the nature of the mind as Satvika, Rajasika and Tamasika. It is threefold. Listen to that threefold Shraddha. Shraddha is one, but the shades of differences in its nature can be viewed as threefold, Trividha. Like bread is one, but then there are different types of bread, French bread, sourdough, etc. Unlike bread, however, Shraddha is not an external object. It is in your mind alone. Though you may call it faith, Shraddha is more than that. It is the whole person. This is what I wanted to kind of read and clarify. Shraddha, as we normally understand, and the normal meaning of Shraddha is faith. But it is much more than that. It is the whole person. Shraddha is not your belief system, but your whole attitude towards life. Your attitude towards your body, towards wealth, towards people. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, dear. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Towards people, towards acts of worship, food, altruistic acts like charity, etc. All these have implications for your Shraddha towards Ishvara. Even how a person dresses reveals so much about his or her value, structure, and attitudes. It can be ostentatious, sloppy, and tasteless, or neat and refined. From the very dress, we can understand whether he's Satvika, a thinking person, or has some values and really wants to know something more, whether there is some depth to the person. The whole demeanor of the person, his actions, the way in which he keeps the house, all indicate the type of Shraddha he has towards everything in life. It overflows from inside into everything you do. Shraddha is not outside. It is in your thinking, your understanding, your value structure, and your priorities. All these are implied, and thus it is not an ordinary word. Therefore, we have a whole chapter dedicated to understanding Shraddha. For whom is the Shraddha? Dehinam, for those who have a body, a human body. The individual human being is the one who has this threefold Trividha Shraddha. What determines the type of Shraddha a person will have? It is born out of the nature of Antakarana. Therefore, it is Svabhavaja. The type of mind you have determines the type of Shraddha you have. That is more appropriate than considering that one is born with certain propensities that determine his Shraddha. Then you may consider that you are Rajasika or Tamasika by nature and have to resign yourself to that. It is not like that, because one can become Satvika. The whole teaching is meant to make you Satvika, not to categorize people. Therefore, the meaning of Swabhava here is the nature of the Antakarana. There are three types of Shraddha depending on the nature of the Antakarana, the mind one has, in which one can bring about a change. Before going into the detail about three types of Shraddha, Krishna makes a general statement about Shraddha and the person. Yeah, we have seen this, no? So I will just read this.
Brahmaraji, you have not changed the screen share. That is Atma Bodha only.
Is it?
Yeah.
You sure?
I thought that my internet is fluctuating. That's why I'm not able to see.
So this Shraddha you read is from Bhagavad Gita, no? Chapter
Yes.
which one?
Yes,
17,
chapter
yeah.
17.
Second chapter.
I thought, yeah, no, this is the 17th chapter, Sumaji.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
It's okay, but Brahmaraji, you read so well. I mean, it was very, very clear. It was going through the.
Yeah. I will just read this one paragraph as well before we close today. This will complete the person is permeated by his Shraddha. Though Shraddha is commonly translated as faith, since it is so much more than that, as we have seen, let us leave it untranslated. Sattva here is not the guna, but the antakarna, the mind. A person's Shraddha is Sattvanurupa, that is, according to the disposition of his mind, its tendencies and value structure. It assumes a form in keeping with the type of mind you have, and it can be changed. For the mind means thinking, and once your thinking is changed, everything is changed. The cognitive change will bring about a change in your attitude, and that will have an impact on your Shraddha. The tendencies and understanding you have all determine the type of Shraddha you have. A person is permeated by his Shraddha. Purusha Shraddha Maya. Whatever type of Shraddha he has, that is exactly what he is. Here, the suffix Mayat in the word Shraddha Maya is in the sense of Prachurya, that is saturation. The person is nothing but an expression of his Shraddha. Shankara makes it clear that Purusha here is the individual, the samsari, jiva, and not Atma. Whatever a person's Shraddha is, that is what he is. If his Shraddha is Satvika, he will be Satvika, and so on. All his activities, his whole life will be a manifestation of his Shraddha. Forget the term Shraddha for the time being and just think about what determines the expression of one's life. It is going to be in terms of one's value structure and priorities. Suppose you ask someone to go to a movie and he says he has no time because he has to play bridge. The priorities are clear. One is more important for him than the other. Another person may go with you and another may not because he's going to the ashrama. I see this all the time when I give public talks. If there are for 3 nights, I will never get the same people the second night, even though I deliberately leave them with a cliffhanger. There is no way they can figure out the topic I'm going to unfold, and yet they do not come the next night. Why? Priorities. Some other engagement was more important, a dinner, a concert, etc. Even if God were to come, he would have to wait for one more day. A person is nothing but his priorities. That is why you have to understand how important it is. The whole change takes place only when the priorities change. That rearrangement as to which is more important, which is less important, really brings about the change in the person that sets him in a new direction. That prioritizing of values and pursuits indicates the type of thinking a person has, the type of Shraddha he has. And therefore, Bhagavan makes a sweeping statement here, which is applicable to any person anywhere. Whatever is a person's Shraddha, he is indeed the personification of that Shraddha. That is, he conforms to that Shraddha. Yo yat Shraddha sa eva saha. Now, this is what I wanted to revisit before closing chapter 17. because we've learned, Bhagwan has taken us through different types of Shraddha, no? In different arenas. One is Kayika, Vachika, Manasika Shraddha, types of danas, types of religious practice, and how you do it. All of this ultimately is the way of our value system is based on, our priorities, the way of our thinking, the thinking process. So it's not just mere faith, but it is the whole, it permeates through our inner and outer equipments. Your actions, your thoughts, your ideas, the way you speak, and how your mental state is, all of that is Shraddha. And that, of course, from Tamasika to Rajasika, you can, of course, build it up to a Sattvika Shraddha. Nice. Anyone wants to share before we close?
So beautiful, very nice. It is, I mean, it was a beautiful flashback. I mean, the way it is mentioned, the way Swamiji has described it so beautifully, Shreyas versus Preyas, and the way you keep your home, the way you behave, the way you talk, the way you eat, the kind of food you eat, the kind of charity you do, the kind of yagnas you do. I mean, behind everything, you are able to see that Shraddha. I mean, that's such a beautiful word. That's why I could see throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan is repeating in most of the chapters, no? Shraddha word.
Yeah.
It has got such a wonderful. Earlier, it was limited that Shraddha means only religious, only for Bhagwan and Guru. But it is,
Shraddhavan labate. What is that verse?
Shraddhavan labate jnanam.
Jnanam. Okay.
So which means
So it is, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sumaji.
It just struck me that Shraddha is wisdom in its expression, in all forms of expression. So it is again wisdom only. That's what came to me.
Yeah. The Shraddha, supposing, I mean, it's just an imagination I want to share before we close. If supposing you have three different crystals, one is a pure transparent crystal, that is the Sattvika Shraddha. And then you have maybe a red crystal or an orange crystal, that could be Rajasika Shraddha. And maybe another which is a little darker crystal, which comes under Tamasika Shraddha. So when light falls on all the three crystals, light shines through brightest, and it gets it passes through the transparent crystal without any distortion. So there your human values, your dharmic, your sattvic, it's all pure. It's all about purity. So therefore, whatever you do, your actions, your demeanor, your the way you, the kind of charity you do, the intent of the charity that you do, even the pujas that you do, all that comes forth very transparently that way. Whereas those that are Rajasika, it is all tainted with desire. There is some desire behind, the motive behind doing all that. You want to get back some punya, you want to do something. Whereas Tamasika is, it is the opposite. It is with an intent of harming someone. It is not even, it doesn't have a good intention. So the thinking process in our mind, I think that is one, the human values that we nurture, and also the priorities. All these three depends on where, when, so we are all a mix. We cannot say one is completely Sattvika. We might have, I'm talking of myself. I might have a mix of all the three. There may be a little mixture here and there. Maybe in some of my actions, it is purely Sattvik. some of my actions, maybe it is Rajasika that is coming up. So our number one is to be aware of this, and number two is to move from the lower cadre to the highest cadre, that is Satvika.
So nice. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I think I am also like that, mix of everything. At times we are so pure, but at times when we get angry a little bit also it comes up. That means we have gone into that not even Rajasika, the Tamasika end, hai na?
Yeah.
Jai Gurudev, the Shraddha can also mean giving 100% in what you are doing.
Yeah, being focused in what you're doing is also, it's a kind of the
It's a kind of Shraddha, is it?
Yeah, it is included in Shraddha. Shraddha permeates everything, right? So Shraddha permeates also your actions and how you do your actions. So if you're giving 100% to whatever you're doing, that becomes Satvika Shraddha, isn't it? Where you're so focused and you're so alert.
Yeah, thank you.
That is also included in the Shraddha.
Yeah, today you very beautifully summarized, Brahmaraji. Dhanyavad. It's so very nice.
So shall we stop here today?
Yeah, thank you, Brahmaji. Great insight.
Yeah. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Gurudev.
So
Jai Gurudev.
tomorrow, Bhajagovindam we'll go along with Swami Chinmayananda's Bhajagovindam, the PDF, and we'll go back to chapter 3, Karma Yoga PDF.
Very good.